So tonight is a numbers night, and forgive us if we're showing too many charts. My guests are, of course, Musa Dankwa, who's a pollster. We've known him for a few years. We also have Dr. Evans Duah, who's predicting something completely different. He says only one of the 5 candidates can win one touch. He thinks that's Kennedy Agyapong, based on his 3 waves of research from August last year. And Musa Dankwa believes that Dr. Bawumia is going to win the election one touch. And he doesn't see a path for Kennedy in the first round. He doesn't see a path for Kennedy Agyapong in the first round, at least. I'm still with Dr. Evans Duah. Doc, I'm back on slide 15. You've given the region a split for the 2.
Yes.
You feel like Ashanti is going to be very, very close.
Yes. But Ken, so from our data, if Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is supposed to win, he'll win with about 1,000 margin. But if Ken is to win, he'll win with about 2,000 to 3,000 margin, because it is keenly contested in Ashanti region.
I see.
Ahafo region is also close. And if you look at it, so in all cases, you look at the worst and then you look at the best case. Ahafo is keenly contested, but the number of undecided and undisclosed, once you interrogate them again, you realize that Ken will win Ahafo. Buno is the surprise one, because when we started, Buno was for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, and it shifted to Ken and has stayed with him. Buno East stays with Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. He can still win Buno East, but looking at the undecided and undisclosed, it can swing and can change a flip to Kennedy Agyapong. Central region is going to be an emphatic win. Eastern region is a surprise, because we had different things happening at the different ways. When we started, Bryan Acheampong was leading. By the second wave, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong was winning. Our data shows something different. If you pick Eastern region, our data is showing that Dr. Bryan Acheampong is actually taking about 85% of his vote from Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. In fact, he hits Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia more than he hits, and 15% from, because remember, it was a 2-horse race till he stepped in. So he's taking majority of his vote from, in Eastern region specifically, from Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. So we are predicting that whilst Ken will do between 8,000 to 10,000, the 10,000 to 13,000 that Bryan and Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia would do, they would be going between 6 to 7, 3 to 6, which means that Kennedy in all scenarios would win as they split. So if you have Kennedy against Bryan Acheampong, Bryan will beat Kennedy in Eastern. If you have Kennedy against Bawumia, Bawumia will beat Kennedy. But once the 2 of them are splitting the votes, Kennedy will emerge because of that.
So Bryan's base is Eastern. Clearly.
Yes, that's clearly the strongest place.
And then Greater Accra, you said Kennedy is winning.
Greater Accra is going to be an emphatic win. Remember, in Greater Accra in 2023, he had 17,200 and 19,002, just close to 1,800 difference. You pick a place like Adenta with no visible support from the top. In fact, there was only one person in Adenta that supported Ken. And he won Adenta by 1 vote. And that was in 2023, when a lot of people felt whipped in line because of the executive presidency scenario that I gave to you. So Greater Accra now has seen a lot of change and dynamics that we can tell you.
But is it what delegates are telling you, what you're analyzing? Because you said you didn't want to interpret. So you're doing data, but now you are interpreting. Because essentially, you are not telling what delegates are saying. You are telling me what you know from the previous election, and it's not the same thing.
No. So if you realize what we've done, I have never given any word without reference to a context.
I see.
And that is what we've done with this research. Any statement that I make is well based and anchored and premised on a context.
Okay.
So I have never made any statement throughout this without reference
to. So for want of time, from what I see, Dr. Bawumia is winning Northern, Northeast, Upper West in your...
But we had a surprise with Upper East. In wave 1, wave 2, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia was leading. But in wave 3, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong is leading in Upper East.
In Upper East?
Yes, that's the Boko area.
So basically, Dr. Bawumia is winning only
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10 regions?
Yes.
Wow. He wins Upper East, Savannah, Northern, Bono East,
stretch,
and Northeast.
Yes. So in the previous one, he was doing 7 out of 7 against 9. And if even it was 7 against 8 with Bryan having 1. And then he changed to 7 to 9 and now 6 to 10.
All right. Let me just come to Musa on your regional breakdown. Is there any regional emphasis to the results? So because I think in 2023, Kennedy won Central.
And Volta.
2 out of 16. Is that going to be the same?
It's going to be the same.
So he will still win Central and Volta?
Yes.
But Bawumia will win 14 of the 16?
Yes.
That's what your data tells you?
Yes.
In terms of emphasis, will Ashanti be as keenly contested as he says?
No. That's surprising. The surprise that would probably manifest on Saturday.
So Ashanti will break for Bawumia?
In the last poll, Bawumia was around 49% in Ashanti region.
In the last poll?
Yes, and about 20-something% were not disclosing. So he was even much closer to the 50 than the national level.
So you see a clear victory for Bawumia and Ashanti?
Yes.
He says it's going to be a split.
Well,
we have Saturday night to know. Is there any region we should look out for surprises? Greater Accra, in your numbers, what does Greater Accra say?
You see, in the headline poll, Bawumia is leading Bawumia by 2-1. So
in the headline poll?
In the headline poll, you will see that Bawumia was around 43 or 44% and Ken around 22%. So the gap is still big. You know, look at the difference, the margins, even in the headline poll. Where you could see the margin being smaller, that's where you could see a tough competition happening. But when the margin is over 15-20%, then that is something that really, election data is really difficult to close. Even with those who say they are not disclosing. See, those who are not disclosing, Bernard, in the 2020 election, there was fear and kind of cajoling of people to go to one side. 2023 elections. So we saw that heavily. That we don't disagree. But every election, the dynamics change.
But there's a trend he points out to, which I've heard other people point out to, that usually for the NPP, the second attempt of a leading contender, he does better. Kufuor in 98 for 2000 did better than Kufuor in 95 or 96 or 96. Akufo-Addo in 2014 did much better, indeed, in 2011, right? Did much better than Akufo-Addo of 2007. And he's done much, much better. So the concern is that even the scenario that he wins, he may not get the 61 that he got in 2023. This is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That he's the only candidate whose second attempt at a primary as the leading contender does not result in a bigger margin. And this is even true for NDC as well. So there's clearly something going on there.
Bernard, you know, I warned you last year that trend at a point loses relevance.
Yes.
And look at the situation now. How old were we when Kufuor and Co. And look, time has changed. And the dynamics of every election aren't the same. And look, Bryan is a very formidable candidate. Bryan is the variable in this election that has changed everything. So don't just classify Bryan as ordinary. Normally in NPP you have 2 horse race.
Yeah.
And
so Bryan has blown that out of the water.
Yes, so those kind of trends will not work.
So, I get your point. So it's Bryan Acheampong who takes the Bawumia votes.
Look, 6 or 7 months ago, I remember I told Ken Camp that for them to get a very good chance, Bryan must join their team.
That's the way you saw the numbers
long ago.
That's what you saw?
Yes, because look, the strength of Ken and Bryan is from the same regions. So who loses?
But the delegate breakdown shows Greater Accra and Ashanti have more delegates.
It represents the same as EC register.
No, my point is that, for example, the Northeast, Upper East and Upper West, the delegates count is much smaller than it is for Ashanti and Greater Accra.
If you look at our sample size, how many do we interview there?
So it's the same?
It's the same. It's the same. But Bernard, I think I prefer to live in now than yesterday. And that is why we defy every logic in the last election and got things right.
Because when you look too much at the past, you get confused.
You get confused.
But past gives context, doesn't it?
But now it's more important.
But don't forget, you showed me the age profile, and in that age profile, your inference was that the older voters will stick with tradition. So there's a lot to be said for past trends.
No, that's not trend. That's the structure.
Yeah, but the structure influences the way they vote and they think, right? You are saying that older people want establishment.
No. See, what I was saying is that
Yeah.
the older people are amiable to certain messages and certain risks they don't like taking. Right? And if that assumption is correct for conservative parties,
then it means that the trends are important. Because it means that the older voters
Bernard,
will vote on the basis of tradition.
The Saturday is here. I don't want to argue too much.
No, there's just logical inferences. Let me take your comments on history and what's happening. So, Evans, you notice that 2024 general election defied a lot of trends. I mean,
yes.
Look, to look at the numbers, you already showed us the net flip for NDC, a deficit of 500K to a surplus of 1.6. So even though context and history is important, we are being told that the electoral landscape today is very different, and Bryan Acheampong is like the X factor in this race. What do you make of that?
I think this interview has been just excellent for me. I mean, your line of questioning, the other guest's line of answers, and where we are taking the conversation. What we are all agreeing on, which is very clear, is that there is not a one-size-fits-all. In simple terms, a scenario-based analysis we should do. There's one important thing that we need to understand. You started it, but I think you did not conclude. We cannot ignore the population density within the regional dimensions. And you started that. Ashanti region, Greater Accra first, Ashanti, Eastern, Central, Western, Volta. These 6 regions are accounting to about 69% of the entire Volta population. In simple terms, almost 7 out of 10 are coming from these 6 regions. What that means is that it is the reason why Kennedy won Volta and Central and came so close in Greater Accra and had that 37%. Any gain in Greater Accra, which there is a lot of dynamics, and I don't need to state names for you to know the dynamics that have happened in Greater Accra, because I don't want to do interpretation here. I want to stick with facts and stick with context. If Greater Accra, definitely per our data, would change, Eastern region would change, Western region, and then we are having a Volta Central. All those places, if you look at how the votes are going to be, if our prediction, and that one is something that I normally don't want to go there, but we are looking at Kennedy securing between 80,000 to 95,000 within 7 regions. The moment he secures that, he has already cemented himself in a position of 45% already. And that automatically annuls a lot of these predictions, putting him below that 37%. Because this is someone with a more sophisticated, I've been on the ground, I'm trying to monitor things. Bryan Acheampong, formidable candidate. Even Dr. Yawose Duchum, some people, because if you look at our wave, even between September and October, we had a hike for him, and then he dropped again. And you can see that people, this is what is happening. The reason why it's turning out to be a 2-horse race is not because they want to just focus on 2 people. Nobody wants to engage with a candidate they are not sure will win. So they see some of the candidates as future projects. And that is something that most of the people do understand. Remember, I said, these delegates are politicians. In fact, for you to do a proper research and understanding, you should even put yourself in the shoes of these politicians to understand the dynamics of this election that we're having. So what I'll just say is that in terms of pattern, it's scenario-based, so we can never be generic.
By way of your definite, I won't call it prediction, my inference from your submission is that the only person who can win first round is Kennedy Agyapong.
I stand by it based on data.
So on Sunday morning, if there's a different outcome, you owe me.
So we say this in French, okay? Sans donner, vous n'êtes qu'une personne de plus avec une opinion. Without data, you are just another person with an opinion.
Wonderful.
I wouldn't even have any right to be in this studio if it wasn't for data. So my everything that I'm saying is purely based on the data. And I'll be honest with you, this has been the toughest work I've done in the past 10 years.
Wonderful. So for you, Kennedy is likely to win.
Yes.
If there's going to be a second round, he will still be in the lead from the first round.
Yes.
So those are the two things you are saying.
The order of the 5 candidates would not change from our research on Saturday. What might change will be the margins.
So whether it's a first round or second round, definitely Kennedy's in the lead.
And Kennedy can do all the way to 56, from 52 all the way to 56%.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Musa, I'll sort of take your closing comments and also reiterate your prediction. Your closing thoughts on data, inference, history, trends, and unpredictability.
Bernard, you notice that I am a man of few words.
Yeah.
I just say the numbers and I leave it there. Few comments around demographic to understand why the numbers are looking the way they are looking. When I do triangulation, it gives me comfort that all the areas we've looked at, the data set, is pointing to one direction. And that direction is that Bawumia would win this Saturday election one touch.
One touch.
We are saying that based on our model, his lowest score will be 54%, which is the 57% that we gave him minus 3% margin of error. Or he will get 57 plus 3. That is maximum 60%. And what I've also said is that I am so much confident in Bawumia's numbers. But from what I've seen, they are more stable in terms of the variability.
There's no noise in the data.
There's no noise in his side of the data. With Bryan and Kennedy, only God knows how they will trade the votes among themselves.
Wow, so you're not even sure. So Bryan could do better?
Yes, Bryan could do better.
But certainly not enough to affect Bawumia's first round win.
You see, I've always said for a long time that for them to do very well and pull Bawumia by the neck, they must go to his numbers and pull the numbers to their side. What we've seen is Bawumia's numbers going to not disclosing. And that's not good enough.
So it means Bryan and Kennedy are sharing votes?
Yes, they're sharing votes.
Wow, interesting. So for you, there's no scenario under which there'll be a second round?
Look, I've said this in 2024 elections. The same thing I've seen here. Bernard, I have done this job long enough. Kennedy cannot cross 50% plus 1.
Wow. We will just be enjoying ourselves here, watching, and whoever wins, may Ghana win. That's what we are looking for. We want good people to lead all our political parties. So development comes
Bernard,
to our children.
what would you have for me if it comes through to?
No. I am not making any predictions, so I don't have anything for you. I'll just say congratulations. Well done, my good and faithful servant. That's all I'll say. I'm not betting against or betting for.
It's just a
yes,
joke.
But it's really good talking to you, and it's always good to have different perspectives and different assumptions. And don't forget, viewers, that depending on the question you take, you may get a different answer. At the end of the day, agroni firm, that's what they say, right? Thanks for watching tonight's edition. I've been talking to Dr. Duah, who's initially an accountant and added other things to it. Musa Danko is also an accountant, both chartered, and added many things to it as well. We'll see you next time, hopefully Saturday morning, as we track the elections throughout the day. And by hopefully 6 or 7 p.m., we'll know who's leading NPP in 2028. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.